Hi, my name is Gerald Koroscil. Today I'm going to read a pretty famous novel called Moby Dick. Now, Moby Dick was written or published in around 1850, early 1850s by the author was Herman Melville, who's an American, and he actually worked on whaling ships. Off and on, he had a variety of occupations, and there was an existing large whale, an albino whale, called Moby Dick, and Herman Melville was inspired by this Moby Dick whale that was actually attacking whaling ships at that time. So the whaling ships were after whales just to get their blubber, which they boiled down to get whale oil used for lighting and that. So this story is kind of an autobiography of Herman Melville, in a way. And he inserts himself in this story as kind of somebody in the background. It's also famous for two characters you may have heard of. Captain Ahab. Captain Ahab was the captain of the whaling ship Pequod, which is the story, the whaling boat in this story. Captain Ahab was fanatically chasing the Moby Dick whale because in a previous encounter the whale chewed off one of his legs, and he walks around with an ivory peg leg. And the other one is the one who's it's Herman Melville's persona, and his name is Ishmael. So the book starts off with one of the most famous opening lines of any novel. It's been voted that way by novel rating agencies. Very simple, but it's rated #1. It's "Call me Ishmael." Now that's a strange thing. Ishmael is a biblical figure, kind of an outcast, and Herman Melville saw himself as an outcast also. So that's why it's a sort of an autobiography. So I'll start just the first page introduction, and then we'll get into the chase of the whales, more exciting. So it starts. "Call me Ishmael. I am a schoolmaster, and whenever life got me down, I would leave my job and head for one special place. When my spirits needed restoring, I could always count on the sea. I don't mean I'd travel as a passenger. No, for me, the way to escape the closeness of my hometown of Manhattan, which is today's Manhattan, New York, was to go to sea as a plain seaman. I liked the exercise. I liked getting paid instead of having to pay. Plus, I liked satisfying my yen for seeing faraway places. This time, though, I decided that instead of signing up on a merchant vessel, I'd go on a whaling ship that would sail from that originally home of whaling, Nantucket, an island off the coast of Massachusetts. I had to go to New Bedford first and take a small boat to Nantucket. So I'll just jump ahead a little bit. Here he meets a Polynesian tribesman named Queequeg, who's also quite prominent in this story. And they become great friends. So the Pequod, or the name of the whaling ship that Captain Ahab is the captain, they set off down around the Cape Horn, south of South America, and they're going up into the Pacific to chase whales. Of course, there are other whaling ships there too. So now we'll go into where they actually did find Moby Dick, and they start the chase. This is their first day's chase. A few days later, we met another ship, badly named the Delight. To Ahab's same burning question, the captain of the Delight replied, he was asking, "Have you seen Moby Dick?" The The captain of the Delight replied by pointing to the splintered wreck of a whaleboat upon her beams. "Have ye killed him?" asked Ahab. "The harpoon has not been made yet that can do that," said the captain of the Delight. "I've got his death right here," yelled Ahab, holding up his newly made harpoon. "God help you then," cried the captain of the Delight. "I've lost 5 splendid men to that cursed white whale. You are sailing on their tomb." In the past, Starbuck was one of the crew, had repeatedly asked the old man, Captain Ahab, to give up the mad chase for the hated white whale. Again now he pleaded with Ahab to turn back. "We have the cargo." They got whales previously, and so they have oil. "Why not let the man return safely to the wives and their children?" For a moment, Ahab seemed to soften. He spoke longingly of his own wife and son. "My boy is waking now, sitting up in bed, and his mother is telling him about me, how I am at sea, but how I will return to play with him again." Ahab paused. Then he added, "But there is some monster inside me pushing me on recklessly, making me do what I should not. No, Starbuck, I will never be content until I have killed the evil Moby Dick." At daybreak, Ahab sniffed the sea air and declared, "A whale is near." Soon we all sensed the peculiar smell that the sperm whale gives off, and the old man rapidly changed the ship's course. "I will make the first sighting of the whale myself," cried Ahab. "I must have the doubloon." He gave the crew a reward of a Spanish doubloon for anybody that spots the whale first, but he wants to get it himself. Ahab alone, and he pointed to the gold piece he'd nailed up long ago. Ahab made a rope basket for himself and sat in it as 2 men hoisted him up to the main mast for a full view of the sea. When he was about 2/3 of the way up, far higher than the other lookouts, he raised a cry like a seagull. "There she blows! There she blows!" A hump like a snow hill. "It is Moby Dick!" The men on deck rushed to the rigging for a glimpse of the famous whale they'd been after so long. Moby Dick was there, a mile or so ahead. Every roll of the sea revealed his high, sparkling hump and his silent spouts in the air. "And did none of ye see him before?" cried Ahab to all the men perched around in the rigging. "I did, almost that same instant," said Tashtego. That's another crewman. "And I cried out." "Not the same instant, though," cried Ahab. "No, the doubloon is mine. Fate reserved it for me alone. Only I could make Moby Dick appear." Ahab shouted orders in excitement. Stand by, lower me, Mr. Starbuck, quicker, quicker, get the boats ready." And he slid through the air to the deck. Soon all the boats but Starbuck's were lowered, shooting ahead in the chase. So the whaling ship sends out these small boats, and they're the ones that go and harpoon the whale. Ahab saw only the wrinkles of the white whale's head and the bright bubbles dancing playfully by his side. The broken pole of a whaler's lance still projected out of the white whale's back. He seemed so calm and serene, but only because the terribleness of his jaw was hidden beneath the water. Suddenly, the whale slowly rose up, forming a high white arch with his body. Then he waved his tail, almost as a warning, and swiftly dipped below the surface of the whirling pool he had just left. The 3 boats floated in the stillness, awaiting the return of Moby Dick. Ahab peered over the side of his boat into the depths of the sea. A white living spot was rising quickly, revealing 2 long, crooked rows of white, glistening teeth. It was Moby Dick's open mouth, yawning beneath Ahab's boat, looking like a marble burial room. Ahab gave one sidelong sweep with his steering oar to whirl the boat around, away from the monstrous whale. This brought the bow round to face Moby Dick's head. But with the amazingly evil intelligence he seemed to possess, Moby Dick caught onto the plan. He cunningly ducked under and butted the boat with his head. His long, narrow jaw opened. Now he had the bow in his mouth and one of his teeth caught in an oarlock. There's a picture of it. The blue-white inside of his jaw was within 6 inches of Ahab's head when Moby Dick began to shake the boat gently, as a cat will do with a mouse in its jaws. Fidela, that's another crewman, sat still with his arms crossed, unafraid, while the rest of the crew tumbled over each other to reach the stern, away from the whale's open jaws. Ahab, in a frenzy at being so close to getting his enemy, but now helpless in its grasp, grabbed at the jawbone with his bare hands and tried to wrench it from its grip on the boat. But the jaw slipped from his grasp, and as it slid away, it came down on the boat like a huge pair of scissors and bit the boat completely in two. The men were thrown into the water while Moby Dick angrily circled the area, churning up the water in his wake as if working himself up to another and more deadly attack. The other boats hovered nearby, unharmed, still not daring to approach the tossing Ahab or the other crew members for fear of signaling another attack by the whale. Luckily, the Pequod was able to sail between the whale and the swimming men. As Moby Dick suddenly swam off, the other boats flew to the rescue. Ahab, half blinded by the sea, was dragged into Stubbs' boat. He struggled to his feet, crying, "Hands off me! The blood is running through my veins again! Set the sail! Man the oars! After the whale!" But even with the added rowing power of the crew members just rescued, the boat could not match the speed of the whale, and Moby Dick sped away. When everyone was finally back on board the Pequod, Ahab again spoke of the doubloon. "That gold is mine," he said. "I have earned it, but I will let it stay here until the white whale is dead. Whichever ye first sights him on the day he is killed, this gold is that man's. And if on that day I should again be the one to sight Moby Dick, then 10 times that sum shall be divided among all of ye. Away now." And so saying, he took his position with his leg in the cutout opening on deck and stood there till the dawn, sleeping and rousing himself. Thus ended the first day of the hunting of Moby Dick. Now the second day's chase. The next day, the cry came again from the masthead. "There she blows! There she blows! She blows right ahead!" "Aye, aye," cried Stubb. "I knew it. You can't escape. Blow on and split your pout, O whale. The mad fiend himself is after ye. Ahab will dam off your blood as a miller shuts his water gate upon the stream." The excitement of the chase had spread to all the crew. Whatever fears or forebodings they might have felt before were gone in their growing awe of Ahab. And the 30 men worked as one man toward the old captain's fatal goal. Hardly had Ahab been hoisted to his high perch on the mast than a triumphant cry burst from 30 lungs on board. Less than a mile away, Moby Dick burst into view. Not by his calm, lazy spouting was he seen, but rather by his wondrous breaching, the tossing of his entire body out of the water and high into the air. This breaching was Moby Dick's act of defiance. "There she breaches," came the cry. "Breach to the sun for your last time, Moby Dick," cried Ahab. "Your time has come. My harpoon is ready. The boats, stand by." Ahab dropped from his perch and onto the deck. "Lower away," he cried as soon as he reached his boat. As if to strike terror into them by being the first to attack, Moby Dick had turned and now headed straight for the 3 whale boats. This time Ahab's headed straight for the white whale's forehead, because the animal sees better from the sides than from the front. But before they could reach him, and while all 3 boats were still within the whale's sight, Moby Dick churned himself into a furious speed. With open jaws and lashing tail, he rushed among the boats. ignoring the irons darting into him from every boat he crossed and recrossed, tangling all the lines. Caught and twisted in the mazes of lines, harpoons and lances, Moby Dick came flashing and dripping up to the very bow of Ahab's boat. There was only one thing for the old man to do: cut his line loose. But as he did so, the white whale made a sudden rush among the remaining tangled lines. This pulled the boats of Stubb and Flask towards him, dashing them together, then overturning them like roaring waves would do to two seashells. Then the whole dove dove down into the sea, disappearing in a boiling whirlpool. The two crews frantically circled in the waters, with Flask bobbing up and down like an empty bottle, twitching his legs upward to escape the dreaded jaws of the whale, and with Stubb calling out to be ladled up. Ahab was about to head into the whirlpool to rescue those whom he could, when his boat suddenly shot up from the sea. It moved as if pulled skyward by invisible wires. Moby Dick had dashed his broad forehead against the bottom of Ahab's boat and sent it spinning over and over in the air. Finally it landed, upside down, and Ahab and his men struggled out from under it. Soon, as if satisfied with his work for the time being, the whale pushed his forehead through the ocean, trailing after him the entangled lines. As before, the Pequod bore down to the rescue and dropped a boat for the floating crewmen, their oars and their harpoons. Ahab was picked up, clinging to his boat's broken half. Luckily, there were no fatalities, only bad cuts and sprained shoulders, wrists, and ankles. Back on the deck of the Pequod, Ahab half hung on Starbuck's shoulder. His ivory leg had been snapped off, leaving only one short, sharp splinter. "Old Ahab is untouched," he cried. "Not even a broken bone. Here, give me that lance for a cane, and then gather the men together." When the crew had gathered before him, Ahab searched the faces for one man, Fedallah, but the Manilan, he was from Manila, was nowhere. "Aye, sir," said Stubb. "He was caught among the tangles of your lines. I thought I saw him being dragged under." And Fedallah had dreamed the night before that he would be killed. My line gone. That is an omen of death, my death," cried Ahab. "Quick, collect all the irons now. If I have to go around this globe 10 times, or even dive straight through it, I will slay Moby Dick yet." "Great God," cried Starbuck, "you will never capture him, old man. No more of this. It's madness. For 2 days you chased him, and for 2 days our boats were broken to splinters. Your very leg was snatched from under you. You've had enough warnings. Must we chase this murderous fish until he drags us, every last one of us, to the bottom of the sea? This whole act was decreed 1 billion years before this ocean rolled," cried Ahab. "Laugh, my men. 'Tis said that drowning things rise twice to the surface, then rise again to sink forevermore. So with Moby Dick. 2 days he's floated. Tomorrow will be the 3rd. He'll rise once more, only to spout his last." Then to himself he muttered, "Fedallah had predicted he would go before me, but he said I would see him once again before I die. Now there's a riddle to baffle my brain, but one that I will solve." That brings us into the 3rd day of the chase. If you want to see more, this is an exciting book, as you can see. I will leave the final ending for you to take on yourself. You can come here to the St. Andrew's Heritage Center and ask our staff how it ended if you want, and have a tour at the same time. All right, there she blows.